I'm here at the Giro d'Italia and it's time to go and find some of the lightweight and custom tech on the riders' bikes. Let's go and have a look. All right, just happened to bump into Alexander Vinokurov of the Astana team, and he has got probably the most bling pair of shoes I've ever seen in my life. Just check out these Northwave bad boys that are totally customised for him. And well, if you're Olympic champion, you can have things like that on your feet. They look so cool. Right, I'm here with the bike of Eddie Dunbar of Team Ineos, and there are quite a bit of lightweight tech components fitted onto the bike. First up, we've got a pair of Continental Competition Pro Limited tubular tyres. They're fitted with latex inner tubes, so you're going to save around about 25 grams per tyre with them. So you're going to have lower rolling resistance, which means ultimately you're going to go faster for the same amount of power that you're putting out, or at least in theory that's the process behind it. As well, some people say they're more resilient to punctures because the latex tubes are slightly softer, but that actually works in your favour because if you were to hit a hole in the road or a stone, something like that, it just enables you to go over them just that little bit easier with more elasticity. Right, moving on from that, we've got some Elite Ligero water bottle cages. They weigh just 15 grams, nice and light. I'm a big fan of lightweight bottles, well, bottle cages too, as long as they of course hold the bottles in place. Nothing worse than losing a bottle whilst you're out riding. Moving upwards though, we've got a Burke Composites, or at least that's who I think makes it, the number holder on the rear of the bike. It's fitted into the actual seat tube there really neatly. Now these weigh nothing. In the past I've actually seen masses of them on top of a scale, and that only combined weighed about 5 grams. So they're going to weigh, well, probably 1.5 grams, a gram, something like that. Nice and lightweight. Then moving upwards again, we've got some carbon fibre rails on the Physique saddle that's been chosen there. So again, you're going to lose just a little bit of weight whilst you're riding along. And then finally, something I've noticed, doesn't save weight at all. Well, maybe a fraction of a gram. A little bit of crank rub there. So the anodizing's worn away. So Eddie, you need to just work on that a little bit. But mind you, you're riding the Giro and I'm just here watching you ride the Giro, so you know more than me. Now, if you've exhausted all other options of actually getting yourself or making your bike as lightweight as possible, maybe have a think again, like the folks have at CSF Body, because check out these carbon fibre bar end plugs. Must just say a big shout out actually to the squad, because virtually every single breakaway there is in the Giro d'Italia, they seem to have a rider in there. And I love that. What attacking riders they've got, and they certainly make the race a great spectacle. Right, now one of the lightest production saddles you can get out there is probably this Selle Italia C59 full carbon bit of kit. It is so bling. I'm so jealous of this rider having it on their bike. Although it does in fact weigh 61 grams, so maybe they should change it to the C61. But either way, it's a great bit of kit. You don't see them very often out there. I do know there are a few saddles a little bit lighter. In fact, probably half the weight, but they probably cost twice the price. Now, interestingly, just on the nose of the saddle here, we've got a little bit of heat shrink tubing, which is kind of bonded on at the back, a little bit flappy at the front, I guess, but that's just going to help prevent the rider from slipping forward a little bit when they're on the rivet. The humble quick release skewer, a product which many of us take for granted and don't necessarily understand the importance of them when it comes to having them fitted on the bike, because you rely on them so much actually, and a decent one always remains in your memory, and I tend to carry them over from bike to bike because some work really well and some don't work that well. Right, all that aside, let's check out these ones then from Corrimer. This is a totally different style to normal. It's a carbon fibre one, and well, dead flat on the outer surface, and on the inside slightly rounded off and then sort of curves inwards towards the end there, so you can possibly get your finger behind it a little bit easier just to actually release it. And sticking with these wheels just briefly, the mechanic done a great job. They've pre-wrapped some insulation tape around the valve before installing the tubular and the valve extender, so it's not going to have that annoying tick tick tick. Instead it's just going to be silent when the wheel rolls along. Here with the bike of Rico Gasparotto of Team Dimension Data, a two-time winner of the Amstel Gold Race, and obviously he likes to have the world at his fingertips, or possibly just gear changing, because well, he's got quite a few additional shifters set up on this bike. Obviously he's got his standard Di2 shifters built into the brake levers, and down here he's got himself a pair of sprint shifters so you can easily change gear. They only operate the rear derailleur, so on the right hand side he'll be able to click down into a harder gear, and on the left hand side into an easier gear. But if you really wanted to, you could even reprogram those so you could have them working in opposite directions. Then on the tops of the actual handlebars here, you can see he's also got another pair set up too. So these are classed as climbing shifters. Now this is the latest iteration of them. The previous one, so the original one, was a single-sided unit, so it just went on the right-hand side traditionally and operated the rear derailleur. Now, quite often, I actually had one of those fitted onto my bike, and quite often what I found was that if you're riding over particularly rough roads, for instance, you would hit the wrong gear button and ultimately put you in the wrong gear, let's face it. Not ideal. So with this, you're not going to run into any problems like that. Then, if you look here on the side of the stem, just place a little bit of electrical tape there because this stem is a two-part piece of equipment. So just smoothing out the airflow there to aid with the aerodynamic gains. And if that's not enough to tickle your fancy, well, he's got a gold chain on there. Everyone loves a gold chain. Following on from Rico Gasparotto's bike, the bike of Florian Sénéchal of the Koenig Quick-Step Floors, well, he's just got one sprint shifter fitted to the drops of his handlebars here. I don't know why. Presumably it's because, well, when he's going into the final, a battle of a sprint if you like, he wants to just be able to have that option there, but he doesn't have the option really easily on hand or thumb if you like to go into an easier gear. Totally baffled. Hopefully I'll bump into him so I can ask him. Hopefully he'll be out for a training ride soon. Also, another thing to point out on his bike, he's got a stem that's 132mm in length, which is, well, pretty precise, let's face it. Normally gets stemmed in 5mm increments. And finally, on the wheels here, we've got a little sticker that says 2019 on them. Now that, I reckon, is probably so the team themselves can actually identify and use an older wheel in the cobbled classics where it's more likely to get broken and, well, not such an impact on the team going forward. Now, if you've got yourself a pair of integrated handlebars here, like on the spare bike of Primoz Roglic, you could easily put a bit of self-adhesive gripper tape on here, although it's not the grip tape like we commonly see. This stuff is more sort of like rubbery in texture, but really tough rubber. Now, one of the reasons behind this is maybe by putting on some extra bar tape, adds a bit too much bulk on there. Alternatively, maybe he wants to show off his sponsors' logos. Or the third option really could be that he rests out there and puts his kind of underside of his forearms on top of the bars to try and get more aero. This is what our very own Chris Opie does too. There we are, some absolutely great bits of tech. Let me know which one of them is your favourite down there in the comment section below. And also remember to like and share this video with your friends. Give it a big old thumbs up. And why not check out the GCN shop too at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. And now for 2 more great videos, how about clicking just down here and just down here.